Hey, welcome back to the Big Red Zone. We are very excited for today's show. Remember, new episodes come out every Wednesday. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. You can also find us on Instagram and Twitter at Big Red Zone, as well as TikTok at Big Red Zone. And tell a friend. Today, we're going to talk NFL Thanksgiving week. We'll break down Thanksgiving game and then a couple other games from this weekend. We're also going to talk about a big debate going on, the MLB Hall of Fame ballot. I know we got our own strong opinions about it, and then we're going to do a quick update around the MLB and so much more. All that more on this week's episode of the Big Red Zone. Welcome to the podcast. This is the Big Red Zone. I'm your host, Big Red. As always, I'm joined by Danny Football.
What's going on, Big Red?
I'm doing all right. I was a little under the weather a couple weeks ago, but we're back at it. We feel good. And coming off a great Thanksgiving week. Did you do anything special for Thanksgiving?
Just the usual stuff coming off of a podcast bye week, ready to get back into it.
A podcast bye week. I like that. It was definitely our bye week, spent some time with the family, and it was a good one. It was a good week off. I can't think of a better way to kick off the post-Thanksgiving show with talking about a Thanksgiving game itself. That's the best part of Thanksgiving, by the way, watching all the football games all day. Minus also the food. I guess the food is the best part, but getting to watch football all day is great. We're talking about the second game of the day, Cowboys Raiders, back and forth game. But you know what stood out to me was all the penalties.
I think it was 28, 29. It was close to 30. Me and my buddy were watching it. We were wondering if they were going to hit 30.
It was absolutely ridiculous. And it was kind of some of them were warranted. Like can't say 29 flags or whatever was thrown. You can't say like none of them were
right
not warranted, but there was a lot of tic-tac fouls in there, and that was just something that was like kind of sucked the air out of that game because every time you turned around there was a flag being thrown. And I think that was like I don't want to take away from too much from a great game. The Raiders played great. I mean, Derek Carr's putting this team on his back. But the flags were definitely a turnoff in this game for me because it just was like it sucked all the air. There'd be a big play. Oh, no, flag holding. A flag, little too much handsy from the corner. Like, let's give him about 50 yards. It's like it just was kind of sucked. Like I said, sucked the air out. Again, not some of them warranted, like flags you got to throw, but a lot, I'm telling you right now, an NFL team does not. Two NFL teams do not warrant 29 penalties. Like that was a little extreme.
I agree. I mean, just watching the game, it was a long game, and it was because of the penalties. But
that was such a long game.
I think it was 4 hours. Because of what? It was the
4 o'clock game.
It was the 4 o'clock game, and the 8 o'clock game was able to kick off. So it was a 4-hour game. Dude, if this was a baseball game, I was telling my buddy, if this was a baseball game, people would have been ripping the MLB for having such a long game, but because it's football, it's okay. Long game. I mean, the flags definitely detracted. Every time a big play happened, it was more of all right, let's wait and see what happens here rather than an immediate celebration. I got to give the Raiders credit. They hung in there. They've been through a lot of adversity the last 2 weeks between the Ruggs situation and, firing their head coach. Good to see that they're still in it. Like you said, Carr is putting this team on his back. He's doing everything he can. A lot of guys are stepping up. Josh Jacobs had a big day.
And Renfro.
And we talked about how the Cowboys, I mean, they were looking like the hottest team going, and now they're kind of coming back to earth. So we're gonna have to see how this kind of goes for these two teams. Maybe the Raiders are on the up and the Cowboys are on the down. We don't know.
Yeah, and I want to say this with the Cowboys, like I feel like you can't put on Dak. I feel like Dak's having days, and it's like he's like what he put up. He put up some pretty good stat line. I mean, not enough to win, you know what I mean? But you score 33 points in the game, it's like your defense has got to help you out. He threw 375 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Like that's a pretty good stat line. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I think this team needs a lot more out of Zeke. 25 yards and a touchdown isn't going to cut
Yeah,
it
Zeke
for.
Zeke had a quiet day, man. He had a quiet day.
But he only had 9 carries. I mean, that goes back
I
to
know.
Mike
That's what I'm
McCarthy.
saying.
It's
It
like
seemed like Pollard was on the field most of the time.
he actually out carried him 10-9. And I mean, part of that is because the passing game was so strong. I mean, you have two receivers with over 100 yards in Gallup and Wilson. But I mean, the best player, I think, I mean, you can make an argument. I think their best player is Dak. But I mean, either the best player or the second best player on the team is Zeke. And you got to find a way to get both of those guys involved in your offense. Because, I mean, 25 yards is not going to cut it. And I
No.
mean, the defense has got to show up a little bit too. 36 points to the Raiders, who I'm reading is 6-5. They're a 500 team going into that game. I mean, you can't give up 36 points to and especially Darren Waller leaves the game early. They don't have Ruggs, like we said. Like they're pretty banged up or missing some people. I mean, that's a team that you kind of gotta be able to defend or contain a little bit better than that. But Cowboys, I still have faith in. The Raiders are going to be one of those teams that I think are in the hunt and they're going to be right there at the end. And I don't know if they'll make the playoffs, but the AFC is so wide open. I think they got a shot going down the stretch. I mean, anything can happen.
Yeah, we're gonna see how this shakes out.
Let's move on. We're going to talk about the Bucks Colts game. This game was going on during the Pats game, so I didn't get to watch a lot of it, but I did get to see the end and kind of flipped him because I have Tom Brady playing on a lot of my fantasy teams. So I was keeping a close eye on this game. Another close game. The Colts choked this one away. I'm trying to get a final score. I just had it and then I X'd out of it. Bucks win 38-31 on a late touchdown from Lenny. Guy that we've talked about a lot on this podcast and in the history of this show. It looks like they're kind of forgetting about Ronald Jones and they're going all Leonard Fournette. He had a 100-yard day, 3 touchdowns on the day. I think he had he had 4 touchdowns on the day because he had a passing touchdown as well, receiving touchdown as well on 17 carries. I mean, for my initial thoughts from this game, I mean, the Colts choked this one away. They had a pretty commanding lead, and then they turned the ball over so much. But are you concerned at all about Tom Brady and his performance that he's had?
I think the Bucks are definitely starting to show some cracks in the armor. They're not looking like the world beaters that they were last season, or even earlier in the season when they were kind of handling the Cowboys and everything like that. But we saw the Pats go toe to toe with them. The Colts just went toe to toe with them. I know they're winning these games, but they're not winning them by much. They're barely winning them. And I think that might come back to haunt you when it's a playoff football game when, it's a little tighter, flags aren't getting thrown as much. Teams are a little more buttoned up with, turnovers and costly plays. And we saw it in this game. The Colts dominated most of the game. They let them back in with some turnovers. And even at the end, Jonathan Taylor punches it in to tie the game. You give Tom Brady too much time for just a field goal. And despite, Fournette getting his 4th touchdown, punches it in, gets an extra 7, Colts nearly run it back, and they had a shot to tie that game at the end. So
unbelievable play by, I don't know if it was a punter or just some guy on special teams, but he just got enough of that kid, the kickoff returner. Just got enough of the leg to get him down. I thought that was gone. I thought he broke that.
I thought he was
I
gone from the jump. I thought he was gone. So it remains to be seen if the Bucks are going to be able to return to form or if they're going to continue to struggle. If they continue to struggle, it's going to be a rough couple of weeks and a rough postseason for them.
Yeah, it's I'm not as scared of the Bucks as as once at one time people like this was a guaranteed loss. And I mean, they got a tough little stretch down the end. Hopefully they give us some help and they beat the Bills in 2 weeks. The Saints always seem to play them tough. I mean, Tom Brady's played them 3 times in the regular season. The last 2 years, he's lost all 3. Bucks are home, but that's still going to be a tough game. Panthers, who knows what team you're going to get.
Right.
They play them twice. And then the Jets, I mean, in the Falcons, they're going to beat up on those 2 teams. But Bills and Saints, I mean, those are 2 games that you got to kind of have it to Tampa Bay, and it remains to be seen because they've shown some mortality in the last few weeks and since the bye actually. And I mean, I need a little bit more out of Tom Brady when I'm going down a playoff stretch in fantasy football. So I'm hoping that he can pull some vintage Tom out. Gronk had a big day too. Before we move on, Gronk had a big day on my bench. 7 receptions, 123 yards, no touchdown, but 123 yards. It's a vintage Gronk day.
Yeah, I saw that vintage Gronk tweet.
But moving on to the hottest team in the NFL, the Patriots versus the Titans. And a couple weeks ago we talked, and we were kind of looking ahead because we didn't know about the bye week. It was a late bye week. We didn't know it was coming. But we kind of talked about this game. You had to beat a good team. And I mean, the Titans say we want, they're banged up. They're missing Julio Jones. They're missing A.J. Brown. They're missing, what's his name? Derrick Henry. But say what you want. This was the team that had the best record in the AFC. And
we can only play against the people who are on the field. And if their guys aren't staying healthy, then
right.
So be it.
And they looked great. They beat a good team. And this is what we talked about. We want to see the Patriots can beat the bad teams, but can they beat a good team? And they beat a very good team. So I was very happy with this win. It was a dominating win. It wasn't really close. The only concern that I have from this game is the run defense, which was something that I wasn't concerned with going into this game.
I was seeing a lot of tweets, and I think Jack tweeted out too. If Derrick Henry was active for this game, he would have broken the single
300 yards.
He would have broken the single game rushing record by far. He would have dominated 100%. This game.
100%.
If their third string running backs are breaking off 68-yard touchdown runs, I can only imagine what Derrick Henry was going to do.
Exactly. And I mean, Hillard had 131 yards. most of that was like a 70-yard touchdown, 68-yard touchdown. So most of that was that. But I mean, that can't happen at the end of a game. I mean, if you're playing against the Bucs and you let Leonard Fournette score a 68-yard touchdown, that's not looking good in the playoffs or whoever you're playing. You can't give up 100 yards, 200 over 200 yards to two running backs on the opposing team. That can't happen. That was bad. I mean, the secondary did great. They held Ryan Tannehill to under $1. Under 100.
Yeah, he had a bad day. Tannehill had a bad day.
He had a terrible day. And I mean, part of that is, how good the running game was. I mean, they didn't really need to lean on him. They leaned on the running game. But that's my one concern, really, is the run defense. And I mean, they only gave up points in the second quarter. All 13 points from Tennessee came in the second quarter. And Mac Jones looked great. I mean, we can say it again. Nick Folk, a god of the leg, whatever. I mean, Steven Gostkowski got a front row seat, not a front row seat. What happened to Steven Gostkowski? Huh? Bill didn't hook him up.
He's a man of the people, dude. He just wanted to be part of the crowd.
That's almost as bad as what's his name's family. Was it Mike White's family that got the last row
up in the nosebleeds? Yeah,
yeah. They gave a Patriots legend. They gave him seats in the middle of the stands.
Drew Bledsoe was up in the owner's box sipping wine while Steven Gostkowski's down with the people. It could have been by choice.
Could have been by choice. Who knows? But I mean, Nick Folk, what a day from him, and he's going to be a
huge day.
He's a big piece of this team, and I think that's going to be huge going down the stretch because we tend to have a problem in the red zone finishing with touchdowns. So we need Steven Gostkowski. We need Nick Folk to be automatic, and I think that helps Mac Jones take a little pressure off. But the other concern I have is I'd like to see the running game get a little bit back to what it was. Stevenson had 46 and Harris had the 40 and a touchdown. But I kind of like to see the running game kind of take off a little bit. But I mean, when Mac Jones is slinging it, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, what else do you want?
Yeah, Mac was having a day, and it would have been even better if he didn't float that one to Henry a little too far.
Oh, yeah, that was the only bad miss, I think.
There were a couple missed throws on both sides. That one with Mac, and then Tannehill missed an easy one too. But Mac was hitting his I think it's 85%. He's throwing at 85% right now. He's clean, concise. He's not taking too many risks. He's not turning the ball over. He's not throwing, errant picks. He's not giving up pick sixes. He's not fumbling anymore. So he's starting to clean it up. They're starting to open up the playbook for him. A lot more passing. Him and Bourne are really coming together. So
I was just gonna say that
we've been
connection.
we've been saying it almost every week. It seems like they're letting Mac have a little bit more leash. So we're coming down the stretch. You have those two Buffalo games. I would like to see him, just completely take over. And he's getting his 300 game now. We just need that 400 game next, 500 game next, and then starts putting up those touchdowns. We'll be good to go.
Yeah, the thing I'm very happy to see is, he seemed to have a connection right away with Jacoby Myers. That Kendrick Bourne connection is really coming along. And that was an absolute dime to Kendrick Bourne, the first touchdown, that first in the back of the end zone. That was an absolute dime. And then Kendrick Bourne was just making things happen, walking the tightrope along the sideline, getting that other touchdown was huge. Uh, I'm happy with what I see from this team. Even Juwano Smith was getting in on the action versus old
they
team.
did that. They did the tight end sweep. That was crazy.
So I'm happy what I see. Those other little things that I think there's definitely some improvements that we can work on. But man, I'm excited for this team to see what it's going to do in December and January, and then hopefully make a long playoff run.
I think they're built for it. I think they're starting to trend in the right direction. It's a lot like the Bucks last year. The defense is starting to step up. I think we're going to be good to go.
I like that analogy. That's exactly what's happening. The defense is starting to come together. The offense, everything's starting to click down the stretch. So that's great. I can't imagine how mad the rest of the NFL is that they let Mac Jones slip to 15. How mad do you think they are? That was an idiot.
Niners could have had him. I really think the Jets wish they had him now because Zach Wilson looks like that absolute dog shit. But that's just
got to
me.
win. Got to win the other day.
Did you see that shovel pass off his teammate's back for the interception? Oh my god,
he is bad, dude. They made the wrong decision. I don't know how Zach. I mean, we don't want. I don't want to get into it again, but I don't know how Zach Wilson was the guy that they all of a sudden was the number 2 pick. I really don't.
Whatever his agent was able to do, God bless him, because he got him.
Give him his bonus because he deserves the money.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to our next segment of the night, the picks of the week.
Picks of the week.
So for picks of the week, we're gonna go. We pick one game from the NFL season, NFL weeks, not season. I'm gonna ride the heater. And this is the closest one that I've had.
Ride the heater.
I'm riding it. Pats over Bills, baby. We're going to go shock the world on Monday Night Football. We're going into the Bills Mafia, and we're going to come out with a W. Pats over Bills.
I think I'm going to go with...
That's the first time I've been nervous about taking the Pats. The last few weeks, I felt pretty confident. But that one, I'm a little nervous.
I was gonna go Chiefs over Broncos, but I'm kind of having second thoughts.
You're riding the Chiefs hand?
I might stay off the Chiefs. I don't know. I'll go. I'm gonna go Bengals over Chargers. Make it a little more interesting.
I like it. I was looking at that game too.
I'm gonna go with Joey Smokes over Justin Herbert.
I got to be honest with you. When I was looking at that game, I was looking the other way around. I almost picked the Chargers, but I feel like I have to pick the Pats. I've just been
too hot. Too hot.
I've been riding the hot hand. I gotta ride it. So for waiver pickup of the week, I'm going with the Colt man himself, Jack Doyle. He's rostered in 1% of leagues. He had 6 catches on 7 targets, 81 yards and a touchdown. And if you're in trouble with tight ends, which I am a little bit with Darren Waller being injured, and I don't know how long he's going to be out, I'm definitely giving a look towards Jack Doyle. If you didn't listen to Danny Football a couple weeks ago with Cole Kmet, and he's gone. Danny Football, that was a great one. If you didn't listen to him and he's gone, I'd look Jack Doyle's way because I'm sure he is available.
I want to harp on it again, man. Kendrick Bourne, he's rostered in 15% now.
When will they listen?
No one's
When
listening,
will they
dude.
listen?
Let me just run. Week 3 he had a 21. Week 4 he had a 10. Week 6, 14. 7, 15. Week 10, 24. This week was a 23. He's a sleeper, man. If you need depth, if you need, a plug-in flex, Kendrick Bourne's the guy, and especially now because it looks like him and Mac are starting to click.
I mean, both of us have picked Kendrick Bourne like 3 times as waiver pickup of the week. When will they not learn?
I don't
this
know.
is absolutely crazy. I'd pick him up. I'd even start him. I'd put him in as flex. I mean, he's getting 20 points a game. Great waiver pickup. Great waiver pickup. All right. Let's move on. We're going to talk into a hot button topic here, Danny Football. Hall of Fame ballot. MLB Hall of Fame. I've been very outspoken about this. If you've listened, go listen to some of our former podcasts if you would like. But there's a couple people on here, this list, that I can't believe people won't get over themselves and put them in the Hall of Fame. And it's pretty ridiculous. I don't know. I think we've talked off air, but I don't know if we've ever talked about it, you and I, on the podcast, Danny Football, about this. But I got the ballot right here. We're going to fill out our own ballot. And I think I don't know. I think we'll line up pretty closely. I'm just going to go through the names. We'll give a yes or no. And if there's any ones that we want to debate, we'll debate them at the end. Okay.
Right.
Bobby Abreu.
No.
No. I'm a no, but that's a close no. I understand if someone voted for no, wait. Am I thinking of someone? I'm thinking of someone else. Never mind. Bobby Abreu.
He's not getting in off of one goddamn home run derby.
Never mind. I mixed him up with someone else. Never mind. That's not who I had as a close one. Never mind. Bobby Abreu I have as a no. This ballot I'm looking at, whoever this baseball writer voted for Bobby Abreu. I don't get. Barry Bonds.
Yes.
Yes. Mark Bruchel.
Mark Burley.
Yeah. No, for me. Clemens.
Yep.
Carl Crawford.
No.
Prince Fielder.
No.
I have him as a no. Todd Helton.
Yes.
I have him as a yes too. I think there's other people on this list that deserve to be in over Todd, but I think he definitely deserves the nod to get into the Hall of Fame. Ryan Howard.
Nope.
I'm a no too. Tim Hudson.
No,
that's not close. Torrey Hunter.
Nope.
No, love the player, but nope. Andrew Jones.
He's a maybe for me. I didn't see enough of him.
That's the thing with me. Everyone's saying put him in. I really didn't think so, but everyone's saying put him in. So maybe I missed something. So he's like on the bottom half of my 10 to vote for. Jeff Kent.
No.
I'm a no for Jeff Kent, but Jeff Kent was pretty close. If we're talking, some of these guys are getting votes. He's definitely close because if you look at a couple of his years, he was pretty dominant. Tim Lincecum.
No,
I'm a no too. I'm a no on Jeff Kent, by the way, just to be clear. Justin Morneau.
No.
Love the player. No, I have him as an. I really love Justin Morneau. I had him like at a bunch of video games and stuff like that, but he's definitely not. Joe Nathan. No, for me too. David Ortiz.
Yes.
I'm a yes, strong yes. Papelbon.
No.
I'm a no too. PV. No. Pettit.
Yes.
I'm a yes on Pettit as well. AJ Przinsky.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not for me as well. Manny Ramirez.
Yep.
I'm a yes for Manny. A-Rod.
Yep.
I'm a yes for A-Rod as well. Scott Rowland.
No.
I'm a no too, but he's another guy that everyone wants to put into the Hall of Fame, which is I don't get it.
I'm not a Scott Rowland guy.
I'm not a Scott Rowland guy either. Jimmy Rollins.
No.
I'm a no too. Kurt Schilling.
Yes.
I'm a yes on Kurt. Gary Sheffield.
No.
See, he's the guy I mixed up. He's a very close one. I probably would say no, but he's right there. Like he was really good during his stretch with the Yankees, man. And he also iconic bat swing. Just iconic. Everyone did the Gary Sheffield and wiffle ball. Sammy Sosa.
Yep.
I'm close on Sosa, but I think if you're gonna go with the other guys, I think you got to kind of put him in because that couple of years he was pretty dominant. Teixeira,
No,
no as well. Omar Vizquel,
no,
no, and Billy Wagner,
no.
no. So the guys that are like a big controversy are some of the guys that we just agreed with right away. Barry Bonds. My argument to everyone that says Barry Bonds shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because of, steroid use. How I judge this is, can you tell the game of baseball without this player? And you cannot tell the game of baseball without Barry Bonds. He has the most home runs. I went through the stats before. I'm not going to go through them again. His WAR numbers are unbelievable. If you're a WAR guy, just his numbers are unbelievable. Being walked with the bases loaded, like he's just he was a dominant player, and you need to get over yourself with the steroid era because there's a lot of other players that were real dirt bags that are in the Hall of Fame, and they're using this what's it called? The clause. I forget what it's called, but what's it called? It's like, so they're not like jerks, pretty much. If they did something wrong. Character clause.
Oh, okay.
They're gonna waive the character clause in our face, but yet there's absolute scumbags that were arrested, did different stuff that are in the Hall of Fame. I won't get into. There's a lot of people like that, and the fact that we're holding people like Barry Bonds, who has the most home runs. I mean, Curt Schilling, like, say what you want about him.
That's purely based on his politics, which I'm not going to say I agree with his politics, but that shouldn't affect how he played the game of baseball.
And the other bad thing is you're judging him after his career was over.
It's out of spite. It's not because of his resume.
Right. And like you said, I don't necessarily agree with Curt Schilling. I think he's kind of a loon, but there's no denying how dominant he was. And he was in the playoffs. He was a dominant pitcher. And I don't think they should have. I understand why, but I don't agree with that. I understand why people aren't putting him in the Hall, but I think it's his 10th vote. Just put the guy in, for the love of God. Like, the kid, look back at the history books and see how good he was. He has an iconic moment, one of the most iconic moments in MLB playoff history with the bloody sock. Like, and he was just so good. And I just think it's time to give him the nod and put him in. And it's just ridiculous. And especially when you're going to put the steroid thing, if you're putting A-Rod in, which I guarantee people are, because he, has gone on to do TV and everyone now likes A-Rod.
He's the only one that actually served a suspension for steroids. Right.
And the other thing is about that, I think, like, if you served your time, like, nothing in I heard this argument, and it's 100% right. Like, A-Rod, the one thing I'm not giving him credit, but the one thing about A-Rod is he served his time. He did it. There's no need to add on. Like, I don't get why people are adding on. Like, nothing in when he got the punishment, it wasn't like you have this X amount of games suspended and you can't make it in the Hall of Fame, right? For his steroids. He paid his time. I think we forget it and move on. And there's no denying how good he was when he played. Manny Ramirez, same thing. He was so good. He was one of the best hitters of all time. David Ortiz, one of the most clutch. I don't know if I want to say revolutionized, but he was, when you thought of a DH, David Ortiz is who I think of when I think of a DH. So, and, you go down the line with Barry Bonds. It's like, in Roger Clemens, Clemens
was arguably the best pitcher of the 21st century.
Literally, dude. Like, he was so good. And Clemens and Bonds, I believe, I could be wrong, never failed a drug test. Am I correct on that?
Who?
Clemens and Bonds. It's pretty obvious they did, but
not
to be
to
fair,
my knowledge.
I don't think they ever failed a drug test.
No clue.
So
I have no idea.
Listeners, if I'm wrong, you can tell me that, but I'm pretty sure those two guys never failed a drug test. Did Barry Bonds take steroids? I'm pretty sure he took steroids. That guy was massive. But if you want to go by the rules, never failed a drug test. So why are we holding this against him? I just think it's time to move on. There's people that are in the Hall of Fame that took steroids. That they were in a time when steroids just became illegal. I just think like the fact that Roger Clemens, who is one of the best pitchers, like you said, arguably one of the best pitchers in the 21st century, Barry Bonds is one of the arguably the greatest hitters of the 21st century. David Ortiz, A-Rod, and Kurt Schilling. I feel like those guys should be no-brainers making it into the Hall of Fame. And it's amazing because I guarantee probably the only two people that I think will make it out of Schilling, A-Rod, Manny, David Ortiz, Roger, and Bonds, I think it's only going to be Ortiz and A-Rod. And A-Rod's close. It's amazing to me.
I think based on what I've seen, a lot of the votes are just going to kind of be spread around to people who aren't as deserving just out of spite. So I think like Todd Helton has a good chance just because people are going to vote for him.
Oh yeah,
rather than using the vote
too.
on someone who deserves it. Bobby Abreu is going to get votes. He doesn't really deserve it. Jeff Kent, he's borderline. He's going to get a lot of votes. Ryan Howard is probably going to get a couple votes. He's on a first.
That's
ballot,
ridiculous.
He's on a first ballot Hall of Famer by any stretch of the means. So a lot of these guys are going to get votes. Like Prince Fielder is probably going to get a vote just because people don't want to vote in Barry Bonds or Manny or Sammy Sosa or any of those other guys. So it's going to be a sham of a Hall of Fame season, I feel like.
There's nothing. I have nothing against Tim Lincecum. I really liked watching him play. But if you're voting for Tim Lincecum over Kurt Schilling, you have a problem. You don't deserve your vote. And I mean, I saw a couple votes where they didn't. This one, who is the guy that the first ballot that got released? He didn't vote for Schilling, didn't vote for David Ortiz, didn't vote for Bonds, didn't vote for A-Rod, he didn't vote for any of the guys that were very like some of the greatest players of the generation, Clemens. And like, what are we doing? If you don't vote fairly, you don't deserve to vote for the Hall of Fame.
Part of the problem is that the BBWA writers almost like relish releasing their ballots because it means more clicks for them. So I hate that they vote in the first place, but the fact that they almost relish the thought of putting out these obscene ballots just because they know it's going to be good for their own business is disgusting.
The one I'm looking at now is whose ballot is this? I looked it up online. Sadie LeBron. I don't know that. I don't know who this is. Sadell LeBron. They voted for Bobby Abreu, Clemens, Todd Helton, David Ortiz, Andy Pettitte, which is interesting because Andy Pettitte was part of the steroid. He was part of the guy that went to Congress, I think. Andrew Jones, Manny, Scott Rowland, Kurt Schilling, Sammy Sosa. So not terrible, but
yeah,
I don't.
You also can't have some without the others.
You can't vote in Sammy Sosa without voting for Barry Bonds. Like, That's pretty ridiculous. You can't. I mean, I like how they're voting. I don't get how they don't vote A-Rod. If you're voting Sammy Sosa, I don't get how you're not voting A-Rod. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a lot of these guys, Clemens, even a little Ortiz, because he was on that. I don't think say what you want, but he was on that list. I don't get how you're voting for Sammy Sosa over those other guys. You know what I mean? I feel like Sammy Sosa was kind of the bottom of that, Barry Bonds. I think I'd put Barry Bonds in over Sammy Sosa. I think they both deserve to be in, but I think, obviously Bonds is above that. I think A-Rod's above that. I just don't. You're right. You can't have it one way,
no,
and not have it another. Like that doesn't make sense. So, do you know where the vote is?
When or where or what?
When the final ballot is. But I'm sure I'm going to be just as ticked off. We'll figure it out later, but I'm sure I'll be just as ticked off when the ballot gets read. Because I know I can already see Kurt Schilling's not going to make it, and he deserves it. Barry Bonds, is this Barry's 10th time?
It's not his last one. I know that.
This is definitely Kurt Schilling's last one, but Barry Bonds isn't, probably going to get in. I bet Roger Clemens isn't going to get in. I bet A-Rod's going to be close. David's going to be close. I bet Manny won't get it. It's just a sham. And it's a shame because those guys definitely deserve it. I don't have, you don't necessarily have to like the person or like agree with what they say, but there's no denying what those guys did on the field when they played. And like I said, I don't get, like we talked about with Zach Wilson. I don't get what happened from the last time they played an inning to the time that they're now. That's changed. I just don't get it. So I don't know. I'm getting so ticked off thinking about it because these guys are gonna miss their chance at the Hall of Fame, and it's because it's guys with, you know, that didn't play the game get a vote, and it's ridiculous. Anyway, let's move on to our quick update around a bunch of different sports. Looking at the Red Sox. Red Sox make some moves. They sign Michael Waka. How do we feel about this signing, Danny Football?
I like the signing. A lot of people were putting his stats next to Martin Perez's. I hope he isn't that much of a roller coaster, whereas Martin Perez was serviceable some days and a complete disaster others. Hopefully Michael Walker's a little bit more consistent. He adds depth to the rotation, like we always say. We have those young guys like Siebold, Houck, and Pivetta that we can always plug in. So it's good to add another guy. He's like a Martin Perez. He can eat innings if he's good, but he'll be a disaster if he's bad. But he'll be able to give you innings. He's a consistent guy. He'll hold it down. So it was a good depth piece.
I like it too. I think exactly what you said. It's a veteran guy that we can bring in here. Another guy that that you can throw out there as a starter. And, it kind of gives you more time on guys like Connor Siebold if you don't want to start their clock. And like you said, it gives you depth. The Sox are also in talks with re-signing Robles and Kyle. Actually, the Sox are the number one. I read a tweet today just before we started. They're the number one expected option for Kyle to come. Schwarber to come back.
Big. We need him back.
That would be a great signing. And Robles, that would be a great bullpen arm.
Keep the bullpen together.
Yep, I like it. Around the rest of the league, Texas Rangers are just throwing
dumping money.
They are throwing money around willy-nilly. They signed Seager, John Gray, and Marcus Semien all within a 24-hour period. And just, like you said, dumping money at them. Like big long-term deals, which is absolutely nuts. But who knows? The Rangers are, they've been a dumpster fire the last couple of years. They're like, hey, let's go sign 3 of the best free agents. We'll see how that works out. Mariners also make a splash, signing the reigning AL Cy Young winner, Robbie Ray. He was with the Blue Jays. And Max Scherzer signs a huge deal with the Mets. Do you have any general reactions from the big signings around the
MLB?
I mean,
the signings were coming fast and furious today. Scherzer to the Mets. 3-year deal. He's going to be 40 when that deal's up, so it's looking like he's going to retire there. I was obviously, comparing numbers, seeing if it's something the Red Sox could have possibly done. He's getting about 47, 48 a year. I don't know if it's not in really Chaim Bloom's wheelhouse to dish out that much money to a 37-year-old, so it made sense that the Red Sox really weren't in on him. Robbie Ray
was fine with passing.
Yeah, Robbie Ray goes to the Mariners. Big money. Again, it's just not Chaim's MO. And then the Rangers, Jesus Christ, 10-year deal with Corey Seager, Marcus Semien's getting a boatload of money. So and I'll say it again, Chaim Bloom doesn't spend big money. So when the Rangers are telling the Corey Seagers of the world, we'll give you 10 years and all this money, he's going to go there. So is it disappointing that the Red Sox aren't getting every single free agent? Yes, but at the same time, we know what Chaim does. So I'm not going to start freaking out that we're not loading up.
Yeah, as much as I love Max Scherzer, and I did say I want the Sox to go after him, for that price, I definitely didn't want him. And especially he's going to be 40 years old, making 40-something million bucks.
Yeah, 3 years is a big ask for him.
And there's other other guys around the league. I mean, Robbie Ray was a guy that I said I liked, but when you win the Cy Young, you deserve a little extra coin. So the Mariners
Mhm.
are going to give that to him. We missed out on what's his name? Noah Thor Syndergaard, but you weren't going to pay him that money. That was
I
you
wasn't.
got ridiculous money.
I'm not paying that guy who's pitched 2 innings in 2 years. No chance.
And then there's I think Verlander signed with did he officially sign with the Astros?
I believe so.
And so and I don't know what his contract was, but usually if a guy's going to re-signs with a team that he's already been with, he kind of already was leaning that way. So none of the big pitching free agents that have signed, I don't hate that we didn't go after them because they're going for ridiculous boatloads of money that I wouldn't want to spend for them in the years wise, at least. Because yeah, sure, you give Scherzer $40 million this year, but I'd rather, if it's a 1-year deal, maybe I'd take it and eat it and you hope for the best. But 3 years, you're paying this guy $40 million at 40 years old. I'm all set. I'll pass. And like you said, Heimblum, he works with short deals, low money. He likes the flexibility. So I wasn't surprised at all that we didn't sign any of those guys. And, look at the guys that we are probably they're talking about signing. Kyle probably is going to be a 3-year deal. I forget how old he is, but short money. And Hunter Robles, is it Hunter? Robles, whatever his first name is, he's going to get probably a couple year deal. So I don't hate it. It is what it is. But I would like to see them at least make a re-signing or see Heim, pull the trigger on Kyle, or you know what I mean? Like, I'd like to see them close out a couple of these deals, or maybe, they added Walker, which is great, but I'd like to see them kind of on a bigger free agent name, kind of pull the trigger on that. And when I say bigger free agent, I'm talking, Kyle Schwarber. I'm fine with them just re-signing him, and then I feel a little better. Quick Celtics talk. They're kind of doing what we expected, which I was kind of surprised going through the schedule. I think they pretty much lined up with what I said. They're 5-3 in the last couple weeks. I think it's 500. They keep going. I think they're going to be 500 whenever we said. I forget what we said.
At Christmas.
At Christmas, I had them going 16-16 at Christmas. We're 5-3. I think it's pretty still on point. I think you have a good chance to be right too with that being 19-13. But yeah, I it's pretty it's amazing that they can go one game just look like a NBA championship caliber team, and then the next night they look like dog
They
crap.
had got 3 wins in a row. Lakers, Thunder, Rockets. Then the Nets pretty much handle them. Bad loss to the Spurs, and then they beat up on the Raptors. So, beating teams that you should, but it would be nice if we could beat the Nets or take care of the Spurs, who were on a 6-game losing streak at the time.
It's something about the Spurs, man. I told you that they're gonna lose to the Spurs because I don't know what it is. Even when the Spurs are awful, we just somehow find a way to give them the game, and it's we just play terrible against them. I don't know if it's coaching with Pop or what, but it's amazing. And you're right. It's crazy that we can go win 3 games and look dominant, and then you come in against. The Nets are good, but that's going to be a team you got to beat if you want to be in the finals. So, not much changed with them. It's looking like a 500 team, and we'll see where they're at. This is Danny Football's favorite segment of the show. It's his Revs UMass Lowell update. What do you got for us, Danny Football? What do you got for the Revs?
We got the Revs playing tomorrow night, so they'll have already played by the time this comes out. They're playing New York City FC. Trip to the conference finals on the line. Hopefully they won it. I'm assuming they did because they're the better team in the not even the conference. They're the best team in the league. Top to bottom, more talented, better team. They should roll. I'm assuming they're going to come out maybe 2-0 win, 3-0 win. So I'm assuming they're going to roll against New York. Then they're going to line up against, I believe it's Philadelphia. So hopefully we're looking forward to a New England-Philadelphia conference final.
I hope you're right. And UMass Lowell, any update with UMass Lowell?
UMass Lowell, we're standing at a 8-2-2 record. We went 2-1 over the weekend, split with UConn, beat Maine, and I'll be back at the Songus on Friday to watch them take on UMass.
Oh, UMass.
Little interstate rivalry. We'll be ready for them.
I like it. Go UMass Lowell. I've been adopted into their into the Riverhawks family. So go UMass Lowell. Let's move on to our last segment of the night, the People's Topic.
It's the People's Topic, baby! People's Topic.
All right, so for People's Topic, you can run on our Instagram and Twitter page at Big Red Zone. Leave us a comment what you want us to talk about. A lot of People's Topics today. All right, this one comes from D Leonard _50. He says Mac Jones first 12 game stats versus Tom Brady's first 12 game stats. The eyes emoji ? I mean, it lines up pretty, it lines up pretty solid against each other. I saw the graphic on the game, but I forget what it was. I mean, we've been saying this for months. This looks like the original, not Tom Brady that is the GOAT Tom Brady, but it looked like that. Mac Jones looks like Tom Brady in his first starting year, which is great for us. We just got to hope it continues and ends up being the same end result.
Yeah, I mean, if he's able to score a Super Bowl championship in his first season, that's a pretty good comp, but it remains to be seen. They're on a good winning streak now. You got to be able to close out the season, try to get that number 1 seed, whether it's by running over the Bills and taking the division, or, I mean, the rest of the AFC seems to be kind of falling off a cliff. So get that number 1 seed, get your home advantage, get the bye, see what we can do in the postseason. Then if he can secure a Super Bowl, that's huge for his resume.
All right. A lot of Patriots ones today. A lot of Mac Jones. Luke _ is this your buddy?
Yeah.
How do you say his last name?
I don't even know how to say his last name.
Kadia. Sorry. He said, has Mac solidified rookie of the year? I think it's too early to say this, but I think he's the rookie of the year. I've been looking at it. The only guys that you can come close to are Chase and maybe
I think if the season
Najee Harris, but
I think if the season ended today, he's the rookie of the year. So if
100%,
he has so many weeks left to keep padding it that I think he's going to be him.
Yeah, I think if the season ended today, I think it's Mac, but he's got to keep it going. I think I think he's got to continue to pat it on. If he just stops now, I don't really,
Well, yeah, no, he has to keep going, but I think given what we've seen so far, it's only going to get better. So I think it's his rookie of the year to lose.
We both, Luke, go back to our last episode or a couple episodes ago. We talked about our mid-season awards. I think we both said Mac Jones is our rookie of the year. Patriots _fanatic 81. He said Mac attack. Mac Jones fans, people. Mac Jones. Let's do Steven 10306. How far does the New England Patriots go this year? Super Bowl bound, baby. Pats Bucks in the Super Bowl. Big Red called it preseason. I'm sticking with it. They're going to the Super Bowl. Do you have it?
I mean, I didn't pick them for the Super Bowl, so realistically, I think AFC Championship is definitely the floor. If they can get to that Super Bowl, great. But I think expectations should definitely be AFC Championship.
I like it. This one comes from Timmy Boomsauce. Oh man, I think he's coming at Bill again, man. He made a couple fat jokes for Bill last week, and I think he's coming back. He says, "Who's getting fat from all the Big Macs?"
I'm not even gonna. I
Timmy Boomsauce, what's up with? Did Bill park in your spot or something? Jeepers, crow! Just coming after Bill. I think that's against Bill. I don't know. I don't know who else is eating Big Macs. All right, final one. Joseph _ Celia. The king is back. He said, "Do you think the talent and personnel around him is bad, or is Trevor Lawrence just bad?"
I think he's in a horrible situation. So I don't know how much stock I could put in Trevor Lawrence being bad. He's had some half decent games. He's shown some promise. As opposed to, Zach Wilson is throwing picks off of his own guys' backs. So I think it's just that he doesn't have much around him and he's just struggling. He definitely has all the tools. Like we saw it in college, he was nails at Clemson. And, even Deshaun Watson, before he got all his weapons, he struggled as well. So I think it's just a matter of he's a good player. He just doesn't have guys around him.
I agree. I mean, we question every week: is Urban Meyer going to be fired every week? Like it's a question mark. His coach is not secured 100%. It's unstable. Receivers aren't great. They're pretty banged up. The one guy, that Ashnu guy that he liked, is out for the year. James Robinson, he's great, but he's banged up. His tight end that he was throwing to for a few weeks, he's banged up. I think he's out. Marvin Jones is it, man. And it's like, I just think he's in a crap situation. He's in Jacksonville. They stink. There's a reason why they had the number 1 pick in the draft. It's just their team is overall bad, and they didn't really do anything beside getting Trevor Lawrence. And I guess you could say Marvin Jones. They haven't really done anything to improve that. So, I think he's in a crap situation. You put him on a team like, I don't know, help me out. Who else was a rookie?
I mean, if he was here, he'd definitely be doing a lot better.
I think he would be doing just as well as Mac Jones. I think, you put him in different situations. I think he's flourishing. So I think it's more of the scenery and location over the player being bad. So good question. Good questions. Thank you for everyone writing in. Remember, you can write in our Instagram and Twitter page at Big Red Zone. Give us a follow. You can also find us on TikTok at Big Red Zone. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the like button on this video as well as all our other videos. You can also find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. My thanks to Danny Football for joining, as always. Have a great week, everyone.